Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
What we've seen over the last couple of years is that continued trend of people trading in goods for experiences. And that holds especially true for our luxury cruising. So if there's a destination, if there's an itinerary, if there's a suite accommodation that catches your eye, don't wait and book it now.
I think that some of the hardest things that they do, or they make a mistake on, they think the ingredients all gonna go on before pizza's made. It's really what goes on after. And if you look at these ingredients here, it's really what makes this pizza pop. We eat with our eyes. So when it comes to it, don't just put everything on before.
Any of us can fall into this comparison trap. Again, it's kind of seeing what we think is perfection online, weighing that against our reality. So my best piece of advice is try to compare you to you, not to other people.
But it's escalated beyond anyone's imagination. We're up to over 1,000 book challenges that have been filed in my school system.
So when monounsaturated fats replace saturated fats in the diet, they help to lower bad LDL cholesterol while maintaining good cholesterol. So enjoying foods that are rich in monounsaturated fats like macadamia nuts is really a great, simple way to support your heart health as part of a balanced diet.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind.
Have you ever stopped to think about who's taking care of the people doing life-saving surgeries every day? New data shows more than half of surgeons say they're feeling burned out, and many have even considered leaving the field. Joining us today is Dr. Africa Wallace, a board-certified thoracic surgeon and Global Vice President of Medical Affairs for Surgery at Johnson Johnson MedTech. Dr. Wallace, thanks for being here.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for having me.
What does this new Behind the Mask survey tell us about how widespread surgeon burnout really is?
Yeah, so the Behind the Mask survey really gives a clear picture of what surgeons are experiencing today. We surveyed over 1,500 surgeons across 5 countries, and quite frankly, I wasn't surprised to hear that more than 50% of the surgeons reported that they experience burnout some of the time. Now, that's not a headline, but I think it's a signal that we should take seriously. Look, I know better than anyone that surgery is demanding. That's part of the job. That's what we signed up for. But the research study actually showed that burnout is not just associated with the pressures within the operating room. It's also about the external pressures that surround the work, such as the systems, the inefficiencies, the moral fatigue, the day-to-day pressures that pile up over time and distract from patient care. So you're right. This conversation is really about sustaining the people that take care of all of us.
Now, why does this matter beyond the operating room? How does burnout affect patient care and the overall healthcare system?
Yeah, so it has its impact on the healthcare system is actually pretty practical. It impacts capacity and it impacts access. The survey reported that more than 40% of surgeons who experience burnout frequently, that they considered leaving the field. And so whenever a surgeon steps away from practice, patients can feel that with longer waiting times. There could be limited access to specialized care, and it's an additional burden on the teams that are left behind in the system. So, basically, replacing a surgeon is not easy, it's not quick, and it can be quite costly.
According to the survey, what are the biggest pressures surgeons say are driving this burnout right now?
Yeah, so what we know is that it's a combination of many things. It's not just one. So the 3 that rose to the top, first is clinical intensity. Patients are sicker, cases are more complex, and having to manage the patient journey from start to finish is actually emotionally draining. Second, there is personal sacrifices. There are long hours, unpredictable schedules, and that makes it hard to recover and to connect at home. More than 48% of the surgeons said that, they feel guilty about not spending enough time with their loved ones. And then lastly, the administrative burden. The amount of non-clinical tasks that a surgeon has to do is actually quite astounding. And, when they're doing non-clinical tasks, this takes away from taking care of patients, which is why they got into this field.
Were there any solutions or changes that surgeons suggested that could actually make a real difference?
Yeah, surgeons like to keep it simple, and the solutions are pretty practical. If you think about the things that bother them, they're very practical about how things can be fixed. So first, the administrative burden. The hope is that there are technologies, you can think about AI that can help reduce some of this non-clinical burden. And again, it would free them up. It would give them more time and give them more focus and more energy to take care of patients, which is what they want to do. Second, they want connection. The surgical or even the medical field has this culture of silence, and it can be really isolating if you're experiencing some of these symptoms and you feel like you're alone. A simple conversation with a peer can help you feel seen. And then lastly, they would love for us to come up with ways to recognize burnout faster and earlier and perhaps be able to prevent it. And even when burnout is experienced, to provide resources that can help support surgeons.
If our viewers want to learn more about this survey and the resources behind it, where should they go?
Yeah, if you want to learn more, please go to thenext.jnjmedtech.com/behind-the-mask.
Dr. Wallace, thank you for joining us, and surgeons everywhere, thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Ever notice how pizza somehow brings everyone together? And for National Pizza Day, we're getting a little closer to what makes an authentic Italian pizza actually taste authentic. Joining us today is award-winning chef and pizza legend Tony Gemignani, who's sharing simple ways to get pizzeria quality at home. Tony, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
You're showcasing us a few pizzas today. What are we looking at and what makes them so special?
So these three pizzas we showcase on Princess Cruises. Let's go to the right. Soppressata Picante. This pizza is a hot soppressata, but we make a hot honey on board the ships every day. And we go ahead and drizzle that on top. The imported hot soppressata, arugula, shaved Parmigiano Reggiano, chow tomatoes that are imported, and a little bit of mozzarella on this pizza. In front of me, we have probably the most popular pizza on the ship. This is the Cal Italia. So this pizza won the gold medal on the Food Network. It has mozzarella, imported gorgonzola, shaved Parmigiano Reggiano, and it has the imported prosciutto di Parma. So who doesn't love prosciutto di Parma? A little bit of balsamic glaze. This pizza stands out, I think, more than any of them because it's the award winner. So that's a hard one to beat. And we have a veggie pizza. All of these pizzas are made with Caputo flour. It's imported from Italy. We got a certification. So when you look at these three pizzas, this certification is from Italy. It's the OSPI Italia Italiana certification. So that means that our ingredients are imported. It's the highest quality ingredients money can buy. And this is a pesto veggie. We make our pesto in-house every day, a little swirl, pepperdew peppers, imported Castelvetrano olives from Italy, hand-pinched goat cheese, a little bit of lemon to make it pop. 3 pizzas on board, all the ships. And it's pretty amazing to be able to see when Princess came to me and say, how do we elevate our pizza program? This is how we elevate it to high quality ingredients. And we've been working on this for the last 3 years now.
Now, when people try to make pizza at home, what's the biggest thing they get wrong?
I think some of the hardest things that they do, or they make a mistake on, they think the ingredients all going to go on before the pizza's made. It's really what goes on after. And if you look at these ingredients here, it's really what makes this pizza pop. We eat with our eyes. So when it comes to it, don't just put everything on before. Put on something that goes on after. Something else, using high quality ingredients, look for made in Italy products. Maybe putting that dough in semolina, not flour. It'll make it crispier, crunchier. When you hear this dough, it's nice and crispy. This one's been sitting out for a little bit, but it's still crispy. And a lot of people come to me and say, hey, Tony, how do I make a crispy pizza at home? Semolina, putting your ingredients on after the bake. So those are some tips.
All right, we're talking a lot about the ingredients, but how important are the ingredients versus your technique when you're chasing that classic Italian pizzeria flavor?
Well, technique is important. When it comes to stretching a pizza out, being able to hand form it. I mean, sure, when you're at home, you can have fun and throw it up in the air and play with your kids or your spouse or whatever. But when it comes to technique, yeah, it is important. The dough, it's all about the dough. People come to me and say, how do I make my dough better? Making sure there's enough hydration, making sure your dough is not too firm and it stretches out nice, but then you don't get a bunch of holes in it. So technique is important, but I think everything, I wasn't great when I started almost 35 years ago. So everything takes a little practice, but when it comes to pizza, it's all about having fun.
Now, my favorite holiday, National Pizza Day, is coming up. What are some easy, fun ways families can celebrate together?
you can go out to your local independent operator. You can go to the store, buy some great high quality ingredients from your store that are made in Italy, come back home and make it communal, make it fun. It could be a half and half. It could be quarters. It could be whatever, pizza's fun. And who doesn't love celebrating, something that we all love, and that's pizza. So that's coming up. And pizzerias are actually busy that day. You wouldn't think that it's super busy, but it's busy in the supermarkets, it's busy at home, it's busy at the restaurant. So it's a great day. One of my favorites.
All right. Where can our viewers go to learn more?
Princess.com. Check it out. Check all the cruises from Alaska to Europe and all over the Caribbean. The Sun and Star are some of the new ships that I was fortunate enough to be on and cook on. And I do cook on a lot of the ships, and it's just amazing. So check out princess.com.
Awesome. Tony, thanks for being here. I think I know what I'm going to have for lunch today.
Right? All right. Thank you very much.
Ever notice how heart-healthy eating doesn't always feel simple? February is Heart Health Month, and today we're talking about one small change that can make a real difference. Joining us is Mia Sin, a registered dietitian with research-backed insights on macadamia nuts and easy ways to work them into everyday meals. Welcome, Mia.
Thanks for having me.
Now, a lot of people hear that nuts are good for your heart. Why is that?
Yes, well, nuts may be small in size, but they are packed with nutrients that support heart health. For one, they're rich in heart-healthy unsaturated fats, and some contain omega-3 fats, which have been linked to a lower risk of heart disease when consumed regularly. They're also a natural source of fiber, which helps to support healthy cholesterol levels.
What makes macadamia nuts stand out compared to other nuts when it comes to heart health?
Yes, well, macadamia nuts contain the highest levels of monounsaturated fats of any nut, which are associated with improved cholesterol levels. They also offer a more balanced ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s compared to many other nuts, which also helps support heart health. And Mauna Loa macadamias are my absolute favorite because they offer so many varieties. They're sea salt, honey roasted, and my new favorite, the dill pickle, which just came out. So many options, and really makes choosing a heart-healthy snack easy and delicious.
You mentioned monounsaturated fats. How do they actually support healthier cholesterol levels?
Yes, well, monounsaturated fats support healthier cholesterol levels by improving the balance between good and bad cholesterol. So when monounsaturated fats replace saturated fats in the diet, they help to lower bad LDL cholesterol while maintaining good cholesterol. So enjoying foods that are rich in monounsaturated fats like macadamia nuts is really a great, simple way to support your heart health as part of a balanced diet.
You're sharing some simple recipes today. Can you walk us through one and how people can try it at home?
Yes, so Mauna Loa macadamias are the star of these recipes. So versatile, so many ways to enjoy them. A great way to enjoy them is a snack, pairing them with fresh fruit to build what I call a snack with staying power. You get filling fiber and those good fats. Another great way is to add them to a salad like this tropical slaw. It adds crunch and flavor. And you can also blend them into hummus for added creaminess and healthy fats.
If viewers want to learn more or find these recipes, where should they go?
You can learn more at maunaloa.com, and you can find Mauna Loa products locally at Publix.
Mia, thanks for getting nutty with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thinking about getting away this year, but not sure where to start? Cruising in 2026 is looking very different, with travelers focusing on smarter planning and richer experiences. Joining us today is Wesley De Silva, Chief Commercial Officer with Regent Seven Seas Cruises, to break down the top cruising trends and how to make the most of wave season. Welcome, Wesley.
Thank you for having me.
What are the biggest cruising trends you're seeing for 2026, and what kind of voyages are travelers most excited about right now?
So the theme for 2026 is convenience plus confidence. So the first trend we're seeing is this ease without compromise, where travelers are looking for that elevated experience, but ease of access. So those close to home sailings, whether it's the Caribbean itineraries, something a little bit more adventurous, such as Alaska, or even Canada, New England departures in the fall to take advantage of fall foliage. The second trend that we're seeing is kind of this expansion of the Mediterranean itineraries throughout the year. Historically, you see an increased demand during the summer months. However, over the last couple of years, we've seen demand throughout the year, including during winter, where there are just fewer crowds and cooler temperatures. And the third theme that we're seeing is the importance of culinary as part of the overall vacation. So guests that are traveling to these destinations and these cultures, they want to experience the local food and flavor. So culinary is such an important part of that overall experience now.
We're in wave season. What is that, and how can travelers really take advantage of that time to get the best deals?
For those not familiar with wave season, it's the cruise industry's version of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all rolled up into one. And wave season is now, and it runs through the end of the month. And for Regent, we have our most expansive offer, Upgrade Your Horizons, which is across all destinations through 2028, and it includes a free 2-suite category upgrade, plus reduced deposit, and we've even thrown in a $500 shipboard credit on select 2026 sailings.
For people looking to get more value, what are some smart tips for upgrades or added perks?
My number one tip is to book early. What we've seen over the last couple of years is that continued trend of people trading in goods for experiences, and that holds especially true for luxury cruising. So if there's a destination, if there's an itinerary, if there's a suite accommodation that catches your eye, don't wait and book it now. And then in terms of the upgrades, as I mentioned, we have our Upgrade Your Horizon promo going through the end of the month, where you can take advantage and get a little bit more value and potentially upgrade into a penthouse, for example, where you just get a little bit more space and you get some added amenities, such as a personalized butler service, which is always a little fun to take advantage of.
Ultra luxury cruising sounds appealing. What makes that different, and what's typically included?
Ultra luxury cruising is all about the elevated experiences, the enhanced vacation getaway, and the all-inclusive nature. With Regent, we are the most all-inclusive ultra luxury cruise experience out there, where we include everything from unlimited shore excursions in every port, fine wine and spirits, specialty dining, including all of our specialty restaurants, 24-hour in-suite room service. We even include things such as Starlink Wi-Fi and valet laundry, so that our guests don't have to worry about anything and can really just enjoy the experience.
That sounds amazing. Where can our viewers go to learn more?
They can go to rssc.com or contact their travel advisor.
Wesley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again for having me.
Have you noticed how Valentine's Day kind of sneaks up on your social media feed pretty much every year? Suddenly it's big gestures, perfect couples, and everyone else's highlight reel. And if you're single or going through relationship stuff, it can mess with your head a little bit. So this morning, we wanted to bring an expert to add some perspective and help people stay grounded through all of that. So joining us is Frankie Turkhirst, a licensed mental health counselor with BetterHelp. Frankie, it's good to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I'm curious, without getting into anything confidential this time of year, what are people telling you they're struggling with? And does a lot of it tie back in what they're seeing online around Valentine's Day?
Oh, yes, for sure. It's a lot of my clients are big fans of social media. However, with the holiday upon us and the increased usage of social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, a lot of times this can start to fuel really unhealthy habits, primarily what I call the comparison trap, where we start to compare our lives with all the highlight reels and perfection that we're seeing online.
Okay, you just mentioned the comparison trap. When people are constantly scrolling and comparing their lives to what they see on social media, what does that do to someone emotionally?
Absolutely. So this is a natural tendency. Any of us can fall into this comparison trap. Again, it's kind of seeing what we think is perfection online, weighing that against our reality. So my best piece of advice is try to compare you to you, not to other people. So if you've had growth or accomplishments in your life, try to focus on those things. Secondly, practicing gratitude for, again, what you have, not what you feel you're missing from other people that are posting about it online. And third, seeking support. So friends, family, or hey, even maybe a therapist through BetterHelp, whether that's online or through our app, can be helpful in this time.
What about for people that are single right now? If Valentine's Day feels heavier this year, what are some realistic things people could do to protect your mental health, even in small ways?
Absolutely. So that's a hard one. If you are feeling lonely around this Valentine's Day season, that is completely valid. Just know that you're not alone in how you feel. A lot of my clients are doing Galentine's Day, where all their friends bring over some dessert and they watch a movie. Just know that you can do it your way. You can take yourself out to dinner. You can take your dog on a walk, hang out with your cats. You can hang out with non-romantic connections if you have them in your life. The biggest thing I would say is try to do something that makes you happy and maybe take a break from social media until the weekend is over.
And on the flip side, for people that are like deep in relationships, do you see pressure there too? The idea that the day has to look a certain way, or that you're supposed to do certain things, or you get guilt or blame if that doesn't measure up right.
Absolutely. So going back to that highlight reel concept we talked about a moment ago, we in relationships can feel like, hey, what do I post? How many likes will I get? What type of reel do I need to curate in order to put it out for all my followers? A good thing to kind of think through is, hey, am I doing this because it makes me and my partner happy? Or am I doing this to impress other people? So if it's the former, that's a healthy way to be. Talk with your partner, have an honest conversation about what the both of you want, versus the latter of what am I doing online to try to get likes and views, and that can be very unhealthy for a lot of us.
And if somebody wants more resources or support, where can they go for more?
Absolutely. So with BetterHelp, good news for Florida residents is we are now accepting insurance. Some of us therapists are now taking that, like myself. So please go to betterhelp.com/insurance for more information on how to get connected with us.
Frankie, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy your season.
Have you noticed how often books are subtly just being pulled from school shelves? You know, sometimes quietly, sometimes overnight. And across the country, librarians are finding themselves on the front lines of a much bigger cultural fight. There's a new documentary, The Librarians, that takes a close look at what's driving these bans and the real people caught in the middle. So joining us today are Oscar-nominated director Kim Snyder and high school librarian Julie Miller, whose life changed after she questioned why dozens of books were being removed from her school. So welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Very well.
Good.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Kim, when you started working on The Librarians, what surprised you most about how widespread and coordinated those book challenges have actually become?
Well, it was shocking back in 21 when we started this journey to even learn that criminalization was on the table for librarians doing what they have been trained to do, which is to protect our First Amendment rights and to provide us with representation and thriving libraries. So many things shocked me. And it was quite a journey, but I think really discovering along the way how organized and what was really underneath this, which was really not about the books themselves, but a much more organized and insidious movement with political agendas that are quite extreme.
And Julie, your story is incredibly personal. What's going on through your mind when you were first told these books had to just come off the shelves?
At first, it kind of seemed like this is absurd, really, to be doing this sort of thing. We've been celebrating Banned Books Week, or commemorating, I should say, maybe Banned Books Week for since I was born, I think, in America, to highlight the importance of intellectual freedom, access to information, and to shine a light on censorship and the dangers of it. Because censorship is deeply un-American. And so I think that when it first started, it just kind of seemed like, well, this is silly. This is not going to happen. We hadn't had a challenge in my district school system in over 20 years when we had our first one in 21. But this it's escalated beyond anyone's imagination. We're up to over 1,000 book challenges that have been filed in my school system. So it's been really insane, honestly.
And with these challenges, who does it affect the most?
Well, to me, it's the students. A lot of the books that are being challenged are more ones that are in high schools. The people who are in favor of banning books like to present it as though books written for high schoolers are being given to kindergartners, which is obviously not the case. Beyond that, there is no pornography in school libraries. Yes, teens are going to come across heavy topics sometimes, but sometimes these are just simply books about the history of racism in our country, or books that deal with marginalized groups. One of the librarians in our film, Amanda Jones, talks about how she knows of at least 12 students, former students of hers, who have committed suicide because they were so ostracized in their community for being LGBTQ+. So these are the people who are being affected most by this, are the students whose identities are being erased by having books taken off the shelves. When I see books being challenged that are about just the experience of being Black in America being removed from shelves, it's horrific, because I see students being removed from history.
And the documentary is showing how librarians are becoming the unexpected advocates and, in some cases, targets. What kind of pressure are they facing right now?
Well, in the documentary, it's shocking. There are, as Julie said, hundreds. We weren't able to show hundreds, but Julie is joined by a large swath of librarians who are under siege, I would say, across the country. And I would say that when you say who is affected, it's every single one of us whose rights are being threatened, because it has not ended in the school libraries. It's permeated the museums and the universities. So we are, as one anonymous librarian says at the end, this is now everyone's story.
And do you have a quick tip for some of the viewers watching this and wondering what they could do?
We're really advocating. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just saying that getting involved locally is really important. That's where these things are happening. These are not federal decisions that are being made. A lot of times it is your local school board or even your local public library boards where the banning and censorship is happening. So get involved in your community. There are lots of grassroots organizations and parent groups that are speaking up against this. If you're not ready to run for school board, you can certainly, of course, vote. You can get informed. You can write letters to the editor. You can make phone calls. Anything that you can do, even reaching out to, if you're a parent, reaching out to your school, your children's school's librarian, if they have one, and just let them know that you're there for them, that if they're ever encountering issues with censorship, give them your name and number as someone they can reach out to, so that you can try to connect them with others in the community who will stand up with them.
Julie, Kim, I want to thank you too for joining me today. The Librarians premieres Monday, February 9th on PBS's Independent Lens, and will also be available to stream on the PBS app. It's a powerful, eye-opening watch, and one that really gets you thinking about what's really at stake. I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, just go to our website, riseunwindtv.com, and you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, or follow our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.